Henrik, how are you?
I'm good. Very good indeed. Yeah. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's getting colder, but I think you up in northern Finland are used to that. I'm not so used to that just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if you get used to it, but yes, it's quite cold here a lot of times. So, at least we know how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and one thing that obviously keeps you busy in these times is making music. Now, especially if we look towards Acoustic Adventures.
Yeah.
It started somewhat in 2019 with the Acoustic Adventures tour. Before that, what was the idea behind that tour? What did you as a band want to accomplish with playing some of the old songs acoustically?
We have to go a little bit further back if we want to start the story. It was we done sometimes, like a radio promo shows and stuff like that, where you play a few songs acoustically. And then in 2011, during the Days of Grace tour, we had 2 or 3 songs acoustically in the middle of the set, like a lot of bands do. And then in 2016, we were going to do summer festivals, and we wanted to think about something new to do, because we had already done 2 summers of festivals with the same album. So we decided to play some of the summer festivals acoustically. And that turned out quite well. And then after that, we decided, okay, let's try this at club shows as well. And then we get to the 2019 tour. And at that point, we already started to think a little bit more about the arrangement. Back in 2016, it was just, playing and having fun and not thinking too hard about it. But 2019, the arrangements got better. People loved it, and of course started to ask, when are you going to do an acoustic album? So back then we already started to think about it, and we had talked about it for quite some time, and we had the deal already made. We were supposed to record acoustic stuff, I think in the beginning of this year was the original plan. But then, of course, with this COVID shit happening and shows being canceled, then we just decided, okay, now we should do the acoustic now, because there's nothing else to do. So that's why we did it in 2020 instead.
Right. What I find interesting then is, because I don't know, maybe this is an insight then into how the band writes songs, but are most demos acoustic, or when you write just regularly, or are they already infused with a lot of electric and different sounds?
Actually, Tony makes the demos since he's the songwriter, but they are electric. Or not electric, but computer based. So like when he does his demos, you have drums and bass, and then distorted guitars and all that kind of stuff. So it's not. I don't know. Then sometimes when he writes, he perhaps writes on the piano, or at least he used to do that at some point. But these days, as far as I know, his stuff is made on computer, at least the demos.
Right, because I hear from musicians every once in a while that one thing that marks a good song is that if you strip everything away, that it still stands up, that it still holds up. So what are your thoughts on this? Because if we go through all the songs that you picked to do acoustically, was it difficult to translate them to an acoustic setting?
Well, first about the statement, I do agree. If the song is good, then you can play with just a guitar or piano, or just even sing it. But it was, however, I think our songs or our music translates very well to the acoustic form, but it was a bit tricky, because we wanted to make the album in a way that it feels intimate, and it feels like you're in the room with us playing. And then also we wanted to make sure it doesn't sound like underproduced. So it was really, really tricky to make sure that we have enough stuff and it sounds good, but not make something that sound like overly produced. And to find that balance was really hard. To pick the songs, I don't know. We have like 10 albums, maybe 120, 130 songs. So, but that was just kind of random, and we were just throwing out ideas, trying what worked and what didn't, and it wasn't so hard. And we had like the 2019 set list to start with, so we first took the songs that already had good arrangements and started with them. So it was actually not so hard, but to make the whole album work, that was a bit harder.
Even before this acoustic tour, was there one song that ended up on this album that you always thought, well, this would work well if we do it acoustically? Or was there one song that you thought, well, this one definitely has to go on the album?
Yeah, of course, songs like Talula and Full Moon were stuff, or I Have a Right, for example. Those were the things that we knew that we had to do, or we felt that we had to do. But then a lot of things were like bonus track, or we did a few bonus tracks and things that we haven't really played that much. So there was some songs that we know that fans love a lot, and for those we tried to make them work. And then for the rest, we just tried to pick songs that we liked and that we managed to make something new of them. And we wanted to make sure that the versions are different. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but still, for example, a song like Talula, I think it doesn't sound that different. It's just different kinds of sounds, maybe, but maybe some other songs changed a lot more.
Yeah, is there one that sticks out for you that changed the most, that was kind of the biggest evolution from what it first was?
Well, maybe the first single, The Rest of the Sun Belongs to Me. It's I don't know if you know the original, but it's like power metal, a high pitched voice. I think it's quite different from the one that we recorded. That's the first one I think that comes to mind.
What was it for you personally like then, kind of delving back into all the albums that you've made in the past? Because did it bring back memories and all that kind of stuff?
To some extent, yeah. But of course, there are on the couple of first album I wasn't in the band, but after that, some of the songs we have been playing live anyway. So it wasn't like so much a trip down memory lane as you might think, but yeah, I think maybe for some songs, for example, For the Sake of Revenge, which I thought turned out very well. Back in 2007, when we made the Uni album and we toured with it, we just played that song a few times on the tour, and after that we haven't played it. So then you go back like 13 years to play a song that you haven't played in a while, and that brought back some memories. But a lot of the stuff that we do, we have been playing, maybe not acoustically, but electric versions of. So it wasn't, like it wasn't as nostalgic as you might think, maybe.
Well, but you mentioned something interesting. So do you have to then relearn a song, or is it kind of muscle memory that once you go over it, it kind of comes back?
Well, yes and no. The thing was, when we play electrically, we tune down one half step. So every or almost all of the songs are in different keys on the acoustic albums. So even if you have it in the muscle memory, it's going to be wrong. Yes, it was basically relearning. Of course, when you know the songs, you know the melodies, you know how it goes, it's easier. But it was hard, and especially if it's a song that you have played a lot of times, and then all of a sudden you change the arrangement and you change the key, then it's really hard because the muscle memory, as you said, and the old idea about how it should go comes back, and you start to mess up and play the wrong part and things like that. So it's a bit tricky, and but it's, well, all of the other guys have the same problem, so I'm not alone with that one.
Well, but what I found interesting obviously there's a big difference between playing acoustic guitar and electric guitar, but for you as a keyboard player, what were the challenges? Did you have to kind of look for sounds that weren't as overpowering and all that kind of stuff? And how did you approach kind of your role within the arrangement?
Yeah, we had to look, and luckily we had a producer, Mikko Tegelman, with us to help with that. But I wanted to make sure that I don't pick sounds that are too modern, so to speak. And we decided also to make sure that we don't have too many different kind of keyboard sounds. So basically what I used was an acoustic piano, electric piano, Hammond, a little bit of Mellotron, and one synth pad that I use on a couple of places. So we really narrowed it down to the stuff that I just absolutely need, just to try to make the album sound like coherent and not being all over the place. And also, when you do acoustic stuff, like you say, overly empowering sounds, it's like it's really hard to keep it delicate and not overdo it. So we paid a lot of attention to that. Yeah.
Right. And does that, because I don't exactly know your background, but did you start on piano, or was it always keyboards and synthesizers for you?
I started as a kid on piano.
Okay.
So I have that background, and it was just like the typical thing. Your mom puts you on piano lessons, and then when you are in your teens, then you switch it up and start playing rock and roll and forget about the classical stuff and whatnot. So yeah, but I have a background in piano playing. Yeah.
Okay, because yeah, I assume that comes in handy then when you have to be more subtle in the way you're playing. And so have you kept up with that, or have you always kind of tried to develop what you do?
Well, I pretty much, when I quit playing classical, I never went back. So if I would have to do it now, it would really suck ass, I think. But I think the technique is there, and of course I try to practice every once in a while, and whenever I get an idea or I hear something that I really want to know how to play, then I figure it out and practice. So of course for me, I have a certain vocabulary musically that I can express myself with, and I'm always looking for new ways. That might be new sounds or musically new stuff or whatever. So I'm just trying to get as broad enough vocabulary as possible so I can express myself musically in the best possible way. So yeah, I think it's a learning process, and I don't think that's going to end anytime. Yeah. I mean, it's the same with the other guys also. You learn new stuff all the time and figure out better ways to do things and stuff. So yeah.
And going back to something you mentioned earlier about you've always had some acoustic songs in the set and they were well received. So why do you think that? Because I saw some fans, they were asking a couple of years ago for an acoustic album as well. So why do you think the fans also enjoy the acoustic versions of what you do?
Well, I hope the songs are good. Yeah, I think we succeeded because we tried to make them a little bit different and try to make it sound good. And apparently it works when somebody likes it. So I think also that our music is really it's melody based, and also I would say that a lot of Tony's melodies are not really the typical heavy metal kind of stuff, that it could be done in maybe almost any style. So I think that's why they also work acoustically quite well.
And now you've unfortunately had to cancel shows quite a lot that last year because of obvious reasons. And now you have a lot of things planned for next year. You have, I think, a South American tour. You're doing Europe. You're doing Finland. You're doing pretty much everywhere, I think. What are your hopes for next year? Are you optimistic?
Well, my hopes are that we get to do the shows that we plan to do, but realistically speaking, I don't. To be honest, man, I don't know, and that's the problem. I think that's the biggest problem because nobody knows, and it's also a problem for people because, for example, if I want to go and see a band next summer, then do I want to buy tickets because I'm not sure it's going to happen? So I think this is very tricky for everybody, and I hope we get to do do play as many shows as possible. But this has been going on for almost 2 years now.
Right.
From our perspective, I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but it's very hard, and I know it's very hard for other businesses as well, and for people in general. I think it's a horrible situation, and it's really hard to find somebody who disagrees with that. And then just keeping my finger crossed that there will be a way out of this somehow. But some days you feel very optimistic and happy about it and think, okay, yeah, it's going to be fine. And then the next day you go like, is this shit never going to end? So it's, but I mean, I'm very lucky to be in a position that we have a band and still together, and we talk a lot with each other about this stuff, and we're waiting, and whenever we get the green light to go out and do stuff, we're ready to do it. So in the meanwhile, we just try to hang in there.
Sure. As a musician who's been on tour a lot, was it strange not to be able to have that hour a night on stage?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we have been able to we did a few festivals last summer in Finland, and then earlier in the fall we managed to do, I think it was 10 or 11 shows in Finland. So that helped a lot with the mental side of it.
Right.
To actually be able to go and see people showing up and actually get the reaffirmation that, hey, people still care and we can still do it and it works. But yes, it's weird when you're used to do it. For example, we played one show in Oslo a few weeks back, and that was the first time we went outside of Finland in 2 years. Okay. And for a band who plays outside of Finland every year, that it's been really weird,
Sure.
But I think,
like you said, we should keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully, that's all we can do, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, It's really, it's and that I think that's the worst part of it, that it's not really that much you can do. I mean,
right. Henrik, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. And all the best. I hope you get to be on stage very soon again.
Yeah, I hope so too. It was nice talking to you.